I do need help, as a matter of fact, if you all don't mind. I'm trying to find some of the greatest citizens this county has ever known. Do you, sir, happen to know where the Tuley family is? The graves?
Help me, sir.
Do you know where the Tuley family is located at? These are some of the finest citizens this county has ever known.
Fairview Cemetery.
Fairview Cemetery. Well, thank you. See, what our problem is, they've changed this place so much over the past few years. Since the last time I was here, I've kind of forgotten. See, they've added that lake, and with the cane, you know, you slide down the stairs when it's wet. I nearly impaled myself on the rail around it, and that fountain blew water all over me. It's been one heck of a time trying to figure out what's going on. But that's a separate story. Now, some of you all seem like learned people, so you probably know who I am if I'm a Tuley. I'm the great laureate, the author, William Floyd Tuley, nonetheless. Please hold the applause. Now, this isn't about me. I'm sure you all read the memoirs of my family, and I'm sure you remember my great uncle, Davis Floyd, the namesake of Floyd County. Now, many of you all may claim, and you're right to believe, that it could be Colonel and Judge John Floyd. I, on the other hand, do not. As a Tuley, as William Floyd Tuley, I believe that it was my great uncle. And let me tell you why. How many people in your life, sir, have you known that are not only judges, or sheriffs, or licensed riverboat pilots, or treasurers, or mayors, and least of all, or traitors to the United States government? How many can you list like that in your life, sir? None. That's right. There's only one that I can think of, Uncle Floyd. Now, Uncle Floyd was born in Virginia in 1774. His family came west in 1790 and settled in Louisville. In 1794, he met his wife, Susanna, and they had 3 kids. In 1800, he jumped river to the sunny side of Louisville from Jefferson County and settled in the small hamlet that you all may know of today, Jeffersonville, Indiana. In Jeffersonville, he became 3 of the things I listed. He became treasurer, a pilot, and sheriff. In 1803, he came up with the idea of making money and stopping illicit riverboat travel. As flatboats would come downriver, there was only one way to safely go, and that was across and over the falls of the Ohio. Well, Uncle Foyd wanted to stop that. He did not want unlicensed pilots endangering the life and property of pioneers and settlers heading westward for a new and better life. So, on his own personal flatboat, he would go to the center of the river, and as sheriff of Jeffersonville, he would collect papers to make certain that flatboats were operated by a licensed pilot. He himself was one. If they were not licensed by such, he would then arrest them, ferry them to shore, take them before the justice of the peace, and bring them up on charges. As sheriff, he would collect his fines from the court, and as a pilot, he would collect the ferry fee for having to shuttle the illegal pilots to shore. A great businessman. Now, I'm certain you, sir, voted for one of the finest vice presidents this nation has ever had in his chance to try and become president of the United States. I'm absolutely certain of it. I voted for him myself. None of the other. I would have, if you could have, Aaron Burr. Now, I'm sure you all remember Vice President Burr. And in 1805, he and Uncle Floyd had this idea that they would build what is the Indiana Canal Company. They raised together over $120,000 from federal sources, and then they raised an additional $900,000, over $1 million total, from private donors. Now, the idea of the Indiana Canal would be to bring business north of the river. It would stop at Louisville, and instead of making Louisville the city that it is, we would make Jeffersonville, Old Clarksville, and New Albany some of the largest cities on the Ohio River. Think nothing of Cincinnati, nothing of Pittsburgh, nothing of Cairo. It would be New Albany, It would be Jeffersonville and Clarksville. Think of that. The canal, the idea was, would dam up the falls of the Ohio. They would dig the canal just north of that and down to Silver Creek about a mile west of here. And then they would allow for safe travel at a fee for flatboats and later steamboats to use that canal. Well, Burr went ahead and did something unthinkable, and he shot a man. And he killed him, and that man was Alexander Hamilton. Well, fleeing westward, and the idea conceived by he and a General Wilkinson, the plan was to overthrow the United States government and form a new constitution. Well, that plan was foiled, and Uncle Floyd is caught in between them. Fleeing south, he heads to Louisiana, where many of the other possible conspirators fled. In 1806, with guilty conscience and missing his family, he returns home to Jeffersonville. He's brought up on charges by Jonathan Jennings, and he is found guilty of treason. Instead of being hanged like many others, he is sentenced to 3 days in prison and charged a $10 fine. Well, with a sordid reputation now, Uncle Floyd has to rebuild his character. In doing so, he becomes the true hero of the battle with Tippecanoe, earning himself great creditation. No, Tippecanoe and Tyler II and William Henry Harrison had nothing on that of Davis Floyd. Well, in 1813, alongside of one of his former friends and war buddies, he goes against his arch rival, William Henry Harrison now. Harrison has the idea that we will make the Indiana Territory, when it becomes a state, a slave state. And so they go butt heads. But a man of strong Protestant and Methodist conviction, Davis Floyd would not allow that. As a man of great Masonic beliefs and moral standing, he would not allow that. And solely he stands up to William Henry Harrison. He stands up to the other congressmen in the Territorial Congress that no, Indiana will not be a slave state. It will not be a slave territory. Two other men come forward with their own personal convictions, and they stand beside them. And to this day, Indiana has, never was, and never will be a slave state. In 1813, he's called upon again to move his family from Jeffersonville to Cordon, Indiana, where he will oversee the construction and the erection of the new territory capital, which was preparing for statehood. In what year? 1816, as the 19th state. So he prepares Indiana for such. And it's done just like that. He's named the first circuit court judge of Harrison County. He builds a fine manor on the square, a 2-story brick federal building. You, sir, say you are the Cordon capital. At a left oblique, you would see this 2-story home, later owned and purchased by Governor Hendricks. In the Great Panic of 1819, Uncle Floyd loses everything, home included. But he's asked to go on behalf of the Scribner brothers to New Albany, Indiana, where he will help establish a new county. 5 men come together, they survey the county, they decide the seat, and they name it after one fine Virginian, Davis Floyd. I can think of only 2 others in this state that have names bearing that of Virginians, Jefferson and Washington counties. Now, believe what you may, it could be John Floyd, the former governor of Virginia, but in my own heart, I feel it's the conviction of that of Davis Floyd. But our story doesn't end there. In 1819, he's asked to go southward to the great retiree state of Florida. In Florida, he serves as a land adjuster. And his job is, since the new territory has been acquired from the Spanish, he will help serve and oversee land disputes, territorial claims, and will be made in 1823, just 4 years after his arrival, the mayor of St. Augustine, Florida. Well, continuing those roles until 1831, he is no longer needed to help settle land disputes, to do territorial claims, acquisitions, and property boundary lines, as that job is dissolved. He served as circuit court judge until his death in 1834 at the age of 60. Now, some people say that he's buried outside of St. Augustine. Others say he was brought back to his adopted state of Indiana, where he's laid to rest at Cedar Hill Cemetery in Portland. I can't tell you. I've never found his grave. What were we looking for?
Your parents' grave.
Parents' graves. Parents' graves. Where is?
I think they're up there on that hill.
Is it that hill?
Yes, right over there.
The last group told me it was that hill.
They're mistaken. It's over there. In the direction we're going. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful stories.
Thank you for helping me find them.
Oh, you're most welcome.